it's Debbie Gilbert here from the Best Business Women Awards. And oh my goodness, I'm so excited today by my guest, who is the amazing Stefan Thomas, author of Business Networking for Dummies and networker extraordinaire. So we're going to be talking about him sponsoring the Best Networking Group category in this year's awards, which we have brought back. So every so often we swap around our categories. We haven't had this category since 2019, so it's great to speak to people who are interested in entering. And so we're going to chat all about all things networking today. So welcome, Stefan.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I mean, thank you ever so much for having me. I quite like talking about networking, as you know, and I'm flattered by your introduction. Networking extraordinaire. I like that. I'll take that on a Thursday afternoon.
So we first met probably about 12 years ago when you were the network director at 4 Networking and I was a group leader for 4 Networking. So we met networking.
Well, actually, at the time, I think you were running your own networking event as well. And you still are. And we've always had that attitude of collaboration, that we were collaborating with each other over making sure that there was networking in North London and Hertfordshire rather than being in competition with each other. And you went on to write or collaborate on a book about collaboration as well.
I did. You're right. So talk me through your journey with networking to start with. So, because you were an estate agent in a previous life. So talk a bit about your networking journey, because I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah, well, thank you. So I was an estate agent from 1988 through to 2007. I was going along to networking events as an estate agent. I went to my first ever networking event as an estate agent, and I didn't actually have to make it work, is the easiest way to say that. I actually really, after a really shaky start, I learned to enjoy networking. But then in 2007, my life changed. I came away from networking, not entirely by my own choice at that point, and set up my first business, which was a little local magazine, and was going networking because I realized that I already had some of these connections from the local networking groups. So I might as well keep going and looking for support. And the whole vibe had changed for me. My energy had to change because I'd gone from something which I was doing whilst I had a salary and would get paid a salary at the end of the month, whether or not I won any business from networking, to all of a sudden really, really having to make this work because there was a mortgage to be paid at the end of the month. And so I really quickly had to learn how to make it work for me. So I did. Got stuck into networking. Also, of course, for networking, a huge part of the journey, I ended up running a few groups for them. Turned into quite a lot of groups, but running a few groups for them in Oxfordshire back in the day.
Fantastic. And that led you to write the book, Business Networking for Dummies. So those of you who've seen these Dummies books, they cover all aspects of business and actually life. And this is a fantastic book. And it really takes people through all of those steps about networking, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, we're coming up for the 10th anniversary of Business Networking for Dummies. Wow. And it in June of this year. And it's such an important part of the story because I was at a networking event, the business show at Excel in London, where I met the publishers of the Dummies series of books. And they that evening asked me if I'd be interested in writing Business Networking for Dummies. So those opportunities really are out there for the people who go to the networking events and go and find them. The book does. I mean, it's Dummies have got a brilliant way of putting together books to make sure that they really do take you through the basics and then step through a little bit more of an intermediate and advanced look at networking as well, so that whether someone's really new to networking or whether they've been doing it for years, they can get a little bit better by following some of the steps in the book. And 10 years later on, it's still holding its own. We're still selling, and the advice in it is still just as relevant, which I'm really pleased about.
So on the back of that, you have created the networking retreat.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, because that's also quite interesting.
Yeah, so the networking retreat started in 2015 and has evolved over the years. I used to bring people together for 2 days here in Oxfordshire and train them in networking skills, and I had people come from all over the country to do that, and that was really good fun, because we would be in a actually really quite a nice country house hotel here in Oxfordshire, so people would really get to know each other. And then when lockdown happened, I had to work out how to move that online, which became the Networking Success Program. I started running an online course in how to get better at networking. I've gone on to train quite a lot of people in networking over the years, and am now running Connect Live in Oxfordshire at the end of this year, where I'll be also helping people to learn about networking as well as facilitating their networking. And in 2025, you heard it here first, I'm running the Networking Retreat Sri Lanka in association with Chris Saunders at Arca Origins, who's helping us to plan the trip. So it's, yeah.
So it's going global.
I think, I've already got people who I've worked with, particularly across New South Wales, Sydney in Australia and Melbourne in Australia, who I've been able to work with because of the virtual way we're all doing things now. But yes, doing it face-to-face in Sri Lanka is going to be a load of fun.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's going to be amazing. I mean, what a great place to do something. That's incredible.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you've come on board this year in the Best Business Women Awards, sponsoring the Best Networking Group category. So let's ask you what you think a good networking group is all about, because there is a lot of networking out there now, and there are some great networking groups and maybe not such good ones as well. So what's the ingredients of a good networking group and a good networking group leader?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I'd suggest for anyone going networking is that they try a few and find the one which fits best with them. That's for anyone going networking. In terms of networking groups, the ones that I've come across that are the best, and this is regardless of whether they're an independent networking group or whether it's someone running a chapter for BNI or a group for Athena or anything like that along the way, the best groups are the ones where the person in charge, the group leader, really cares about the members and the attendees, and not just cares about them, but gets to know enough about their business that he or she can then say, oh, okay, Steve, you're coming. Look, you really ought to be talking to Debbie because you do this, Steve, and you do this, Debbie. And I actually think the two of you probably have some crossover of clients. You probably should talk to each other. That's what the 2 hours before my first meeting this morning, that's literally what I was doing, sending emails to Dion and Elaine and Dion and Emma at the Welsh business shows and introducing people to each other, where I thought that those two really ought to meet because there was some business to either be done between them or they could refer clients to each other. The best group leaders are there because they know that they can find business and put their members together. And then what tends to happen for those group leaders is that the people in the room want to do business with them because they become the go-to person in the room, the person that, of course, people take their phone call because the last 3 times they've called them, it's been, oh, I've got a business opportunity for you. I've got a referral for you. So the best group leaders can see that by really giving to their community that the business comes back to them.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think people who run networking groups have to understand what the synergies are in their groups and work that out. And the thing is, when people first start networking, they don't always see those opportunities for themselves, do they? So they almost need someone else to kind of handhold or actually ignite those ideas to them. I've often had conversations with people and said, oh, you should talk to this person. And they've gone, why? And I've gone, well, because. So I think that's important. It's not about necessarily the time of day or the venue or the bacon and eggs or the lunch that you get. It's very much about how they bring that group together. And I know our judges will be looking for groups that have got a proven track record of membership retention. And if they don't have a membership, then it's about how do they actually engage people who come along, because not all groups have memberships these days. And they'll be looking for those key things that you pointed out, you know, that group leader or owner of the networking group actually does really think about their members and how they can connect them together. So let's talk a little bit about good and bad networking while I've got you on this call. Give me an example of something terrible that somebody's done at a networking event that you think, oh God, I need to call them out on that.
See, this is an interesting one to me because it's usually a question of education. So it's not about people getting things wrong. It's about people misinterpreting what a networking event is. So, okay, so I've got some horror stories, and I'm sure you have, of things that have gone badly wrong. But usually, the bit that most people get wrong at first is that a networking event isn't a sales meeting. So if I wanted to sell something to you and I sent you an email and say, Debbie, I've got this new service, I think it would be great for you, can we have a Zoom call about it? You and I would hop on Zoom and you would be expecting me to sell it to you. That would be the purpose of that conversation. I've told you I want to sell you this because I think it will be great for you. Let's talk about it. But where people get networking wrong is that they misinterpret why other people are in the room. So people come and immediately try and sell to other people in the room, even though they haven't warmed up the relationship yet. They haven't even identified whether those people would be the right person for their product or service. A networking event isn't a sales meeting. People didn't turn up just to buy from you. So the most common thing that people get wrong at networking events is that they turn up and expect that everyone else is there in the room just to buy from them. Yes, I've seen people be rude. I've seen people not pay attention to other people's 60 seconds once they've delivered their own. And I've seen those people usually very quickly deselect themselves. People don't want to do business with them because they're rude. I've actually had to talk to a group of people about this recently, who, not people who were doing it, but just in a general sense, networking is a bit of a microcosm. If you're in a room or a virtual room with 25 or 30 people, people are spotting your behavior. Be respectful of the other people in the room. Other people might be nervous. This might be someone's first go at promoting their business. This might be someone's first business. So yeah, be mindful and respectful of them. But most importantly, understand that actually everyone else turned up for the sake of their business and not to buy from you. So it's not just an opportunity to immediately go in and sell to everyone in the room.
That's
And
so
don't
true.
don't nick all the vegetarian sausages. That upsets me as well.
Oh wow, that's such good advice. And I think networking is the bedrock of many businesses, and certainly for me, my networking journey sort of started around 2004, a long time ago, when actually there wasn't that much networking around in those days. It was the Chamber and it was BNI. And now there's a plethora of events to choose from. So if somebody's trying to think about what networking groups to pick, is there any piece of advice you could give them? Or is it, like you said earlier, just go along and see what you think?
Yeah, I think for most people, go along. Pretty much every networking opportunity that I know about offers an opportunity for you to be there as a visitor or a guest for the first meeting or the first couple of meetings you go to. Go and see if the people vibe with you, if the organizers are going to be looking out for you. If you're going to be comfortable turning up there once a week, once a fortnight, whatever it happens to be, go and take a look at it. There are so many networking opportunities to choose from, that it really is going out and looking at what's best for you. And remember that it's worthwhile making that choice, because once you're in, very often your energy is best spent spending significant time with that networking group, with that community of people, getting to know them, rather than constantly jumping from one networking group to another because you think there's a pot of gold at that one and you haven't yet found the pot of gold that's actually buried just under this one. But go along, because it will be dependent on you, your personality, and what sort of networking community you want to feel part of. There's everything from the really heavy commitment networking groups where you have to be there every week and you have to pass referrals, to the very light commitment networking groups. However, do put commitment into it, build the commitment in yourself to be there as regularly as possible, to think about the other people in the room. That's how you'll get the most out of it.
That is so true. Great advice, as always. So I'm now going to talk a bit about this category that is available for you to enter this year in the Best Business Women Awards. So if you are a female entrepreneur watching this and you have your own networking group, whether you run it, it's your own business, or you're a franchisee, or it's something you're doing as not-for-profit, doesn't have to be a money-making networking group. Your networking group can be in any shape, size, or form. It might even be an industry specialist group. But if you are running a networking group and you want to get more publicity for that group and more recognition, the awards are an ideal way to go about that. So the questions on the website are surrounding the journey of the group, why you set it up, how you set it up, what your members get from it. And what you need to get is some really nice testimonials and case studies from the people that come to your group and what they gain from coming along. And, talk about the overall purpose, how long you've been running it, and really give the judges that historical background and give them a feel for what your group's all about. So if you do have some video online, you can pop a link into that. Maybe you've got a website for it, pop a link into that. You might just be a group where you don't have a website, but you have like a Facebook group or some other kind of way that you bring your members together. Any of those things are fine. And if you've got any questions, you can give us a call and we'll tell you more about this group, more about this category. So thank you for joining me today, Stefan.
You're very welcome.
We will make sure Stefan's details are in the comments box, or you can head over to our website, bestbusinesswomenawards.com, and go to the sponsors list and you'll see Stefan's details on there. So if you fancy a trip to Sri Lanka, then do a bit of networking over there in the nice sunshine. Or Stefan has an event in September. What's the date? Remind me.
It is September the 18th, and people can find the information at connecteventlive.co.uk.
Yes, and I will be there. Connect
You
Live
will be there as well as a
very excited.
Event. Yes,
yes,
I look forward to it.
It's going to be amazing. And Stefan also has a regular group, invitation only though, so you have to pass some very strict tests, which includes 400 press-ups outside. No, I'm only kidding. Really doesn't. But you can contact Stefan and find out more about his Connect group as well. So thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you all on another live very soon.
Cheers, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.